Hi, Tony. Good to
Frank.
meet you. My name is Frank Hanrahan. I'm a Senior Sales Director within the Oracle Cloud and License Technology team. So currently, I'm leading a team of around 65 people which are involved across the UK market space for Oracle Digital.
Hi, Frank. It's good to meet you. I'm Tony Taylor, founder and executive chairman of TMD. I run the organisation's strategic operations with regards to sales and marketing, and provide the vision of where we take the business from a business perspective, as well as looking at new technologies and working with those to bring the organisation into the clients that we work with and provide them with the technology that they need.
Okay, so thanks for that. I know TransMedia, Dynamics and Oracle have had a long relationship. Just maybe wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that and what role you see us playing within your business.
Yeah, we've been working with Oracle for many years now. In fact, from the start of the business, when we started developing the application platform for MediaFlex, we chose Oracle as the database engine at that time. Because of its scalability, because of its technology lead. So we worked with the Oracle technologies from when we started the business in 1998. We have always focused on providing the database platform, and clearly prior to sort of cloud technologies coming to the fore, all of our implementations were on-prem.
Yeah.
So providing the platform, the Oracle platform, was what we were doing. So since the cloud, clearly things are moving forward, and we engaged with Oracle on the cloud platform about 3 years ago, maybe slightly longer. Where we
I think it was around 3 years, from what I can understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started talking to Rui and the team and looking at what we could do to provide our clients with a collaborative platform, both from a single tenant perspective. So some of our bigger clients will want single tenancy on the system.
Okay.
And also on a more of a multi-tenant environment where a lot of smaller organisations, post-production companies, etc., want to use the same sort of technology and the functionality that is available to the larger clients on premise. So we've now we feel that a multi-tenanted environment, a managed service in Oracle Cloud, is what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, that brings me to the next question. I mean, cloud is obviously, you know, very important across a lot of different industries and a lot of different industry segments. What role do you see it playing within the entertainment industry that you're so heavily involved in?
Well, the M&E industry has always been quite challenging at times, to be quite honest. But as an industry, the content supply chain is much like really any other content supply chain in any other industry. The difference with the M&E industry is that the creative processes tend to be iterative throughout the content supply chain. If you take an automotive industry, then most of the design, most of the creativity is done in advance. So the production line is a much simpler, in inverted commas, process.
Yeah, it's linear. I guess it's linear rather than what the iterative process you're speaking to.
Absolutely, it's much more linear. Whereas the media and entertainment industry can be very iterative. You've got lots of different loops within there, and that's what creates the problems. But that also creates the collaborative requirements. And clearly with cloud, people in dispersed locations, especially as we've seen over the last 10 months, we have the pandemic in place and people are working from home. So the technology, the cloud technology, is enabling more collaboration from remote locations, working from home, working across the globe, because we see, you know, films being shot in LA or whatever, and then the post-production done in the UK. So you have that. There are other challenges, the challenges of very large files, whereas, you know, typically when you're talking about cloud-based transaction processing, the files are pretty small. We're talking about tens of gigabytes of file size for one program. So there are.
And is that something, sorry to put across you, Tony, is that something that's continuing to increase, that size of file and that size of workload?
It absolutely is, because everybody wants a higher resolution. You know, we've been talking about 2K, then 4K, we're now seeing 8K come about. And yes, the compression technology is getting there to compress it down to lower sizes, but the file sizes are still growing. And that is the challenge that we've got. Everybody wants to see, you know, the best resolution content on their screens. So that has its challenge within storage and clearly cost of storage. So that has an impact. The movement of those files. So if you're trying to move those files between one post-production house and another post-production house, or even internally within an organization, it doesn't happen immediately. Even with the speeds of you know, 10 gig Ethernet, etc. these days, you've still got those technology bottlenecks, if you like, that slow the workflow down. So those are the challenges that we see. But things like the cloud and those sort of technologies and the communications technologies that we're seeing, the fiber links, is improving things. Now, if we take the cloud back in the 1990s when it was called the ASP model.
Yeah.
Why didn't that work? Well, it didn't work for a number of reasons. One was the communications links weren't there. The virtualization software and the hardware wasn't there either. So it didn't particularly work then. So, but now we have those communications links. We're talking about 5G. All of those technologies allow not only collaboration, but also consumption. So it's a win-win when we start talking about those cloud technologies.
And I guess you're talking about some of the emerging technologies there, you know, in terms of, you know, cloud, obviously 5G, cloud's been with for quite a while. But if we look at, say, the likes of high performance compute or artificial intelligence, are they very important within the media industry or the entertainment industry now?
They very much are, and they're very much coming to the fore. So if we take them each separately, so high performance computing, that obviously enables a lot of AI, but it also enables a lot of rendering. So, you know, there's a lot of technology and computing used in render farms, in post-production houses, when you're rendering media content out to final produced content. So that has a lot of requirement on high performance computing. AI and ML definitely have a lot of impact on the media industry at the moment. Finding content. So if you take what's been going on in the last 10 months, there have not been that many new shows created. So people are going back to the archives to find content, to create shows, all those sorts of things. But a lot of them have not been catalogued particularly well. So they can't find that content. Well, what AI and ML will do is actually allow us to put content through an AI process to derive speech to text, to derive scene changes, to derive content placements, all of that sort of thing. But that requires that high performance computing. But what it does is it adds to the business process and makes the research a lot simpler and a lot more effective as people have to use archive content. Now, clearly, as we come out of this pandemic, the ability for creating new shows and that is going to be there. But that same AI that's been implemented there will help in when we digitize content or when we bring content into the facilities in new shows. They run it through an AI process and it creates the searchability and the discoverability. So they are making they are absolutely making a huge impact on the media industry.
And I suppose if you look at that going into the future, and you've kind of touched upon it, I mean, we're seeing probably a greater demand for computing power. You know, customers are demanding a lot more of their content. What other areas do you see as being, I suppose, instrumental in this industry as it goes forward?
Well, I think consumption is one of the biggest drivers, and clearly the media and entertainment industry is all about consumption. It's about getting content, getting it to the consumer. The areas that are going on at the moment are the formats. You know, if you take streaming media, you need different formats for whether it's on an iPhone, whether it's Android, all of those sorts of things. So we have those drivers within the industry that are really pushing the boundaries of what people want. And as I said, the resolutions, people want higher resolutions, people want it faster. You know, some of the places that are close to London, I live 30 miles from London and I can't even get 20 megabits per second on my broadband connection. So those technologies, the 5G technologies, need to increase to allow us to get that content. But the more consumers and the more consumption there is, clearly the more content needs to be managed through the content supply chain, needs to be created. So you've got all of that process, and managing that amount of content is. So we did some checks with one of our biggest clients over the 6 months, and we talk about AI and automation and those sorts of things. They carried out over 48 million automated tasks in 6 months.
Incredible, isn't it?
So you think about that in the context of a human having to make those decisions, and we're now using that technology to do those. So it is a game changer for what we do.
That's incredible, yeah. And in terms of, say, Oracle technologies and Oracle Cloud technologies in particular, kind of where do you see us working with you in conjunction to kind of your, you know, in terms of your business's ambitions, you know, now and into the next, into the future, I guess?
Well, I think cloud technology and Oracle's cloud technology gives us the database environment clearly, and the autonomous database and those sorts of things that help us support our clients as we go through. But it also gives us the capability to build out quicker, faster, not having to pay for refresh every 5 years with regards to hardware on client sites, but also some of those technologies that Oracle have come to be known for, with, you know, the redundancy, the high availability side of things, because putting content, so these organizations' content, it is their crown jewels.
Yeah.
And we can't lose it. So making sure the security within the Oracle data centers and the security technologies that we have really make it a place for us to be able to bring clients, bring their systems and our own systems in to ensure that they're agile, they're flexible, they're secure. It's all around that environment. And of course, as I say, we've been working with Oracle since day one, so the database is obviously a key element of what we do, and that's what allows us to give our clients the tools to do 48 million automated tasks.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that is built into the database. So that's where we see our work with Oracle.
And I guess it's referring back to maybe one of the points you raised earlier about cloud technologies enabling maybe some of the smaller organizations that you now deal with to be able to avail of that enterprise scale technology via cloud at a cost-effective price.
Absolutely. So, you know, the subscription model for these organizations that have the same demands that some of the bigger organizations have. But we can provide that on a subscription pricing model. We know how much resources they're going to be using, etc. So bringing the platform to lots more people around the world, and of course it's a global platform that we're working with. We already have a platform set up at the moment down in Southeast Asia, based out of the Sydney data center. We're starting to roll that out to a number of clients down there. We're in the process of building the cloud platform for Europe and the Middle East. So that will then join up with the one in Asia, and we can provide a global and then clearly there's the US. But that gives us a global platform for subscription by smaller organizations who only want 1 or 2 or 3 subscribers, not the hundreds and thousands that some of the bigger clients have.
And I suppose that global platform you're talking about is, you know, in the context as well as of a global industry that you're involved in, because you mentioned earlier on maybe one element of the supply chain, as you called it, happening in the US, and then a follow-up to that happening in the UK, particularly in this current climate.
Most definitely. I mean, the content supply chain, we're working with clients that have got footprints in US, Europe, Singapore, and Australia, and we work with them to get content from one location to another, because it may be that the original production operation was done in the US. They want to localize it, dub it, subtitle it, create local regional content in Singapore. So it's very much a global collaborative marketplace, and what we provide as a content supply chain absolutely fits within that requirement, which is why people are using it to manage their content right from the acquisition stage, management stage, and then the delivery stage.
So I've seen I've looked at your website a good number of times, and you've got some incredible stories, customer stories on that. You know, I think it kind of across a lot of the different geographies that you're referring to. I've noticed one from my own neck of the woods, Radio Television Sharing, or RTE, are one of your customers. But there's one or two, I suppose, that stand out for me, and I'm kind of wondering, are there ones that stand out for you? I mean, the likes of Discovery Channel, it seems like a very, very interesting project.
Yeah, we've been working with Discovery since 2008, actually, right from when we took their original physical asset management library system, right the way through to digitization and as I say, delivering millions of automated tasks. So they've got locations in the US, in Europe. We brought the Singapore operation on. So they as an organization, you know, have virtually every orchestrated task with regards to content over the last 10 to 12 years has been managed through our platform. So it is a real content supply chain. So it's the content coming in from, you know, things like The Deadliest Catch from the trawlers and all those sorts of things. The production houses then send it into the system, gets managed, gets processed, gets internationalized. Different content is sent out to the different regions for localization. So it is a huge operation of vast proportions with regards to the automated processes and manual processes going, and the hours of content that are going through that operation. So that's been a great success story for us, as I say, since 2008. So that's
phenomenal, isn't it?
12 years. But you know, some of the other organisations we work, I suppose we work in 3 main areas: media and entertainment, audiovisual archives. So the National Archives of Australia, National Film and Sound Archive of Australia. Now they have not only digital content, but a lot of physical content. And our system manages that physical to digital transformation, etc. So that's what I'm saying. And there's a project just going on in Australia called Project Janus, which really is about preserving, because magnetic tape has got a lifespan, and it's, you know, 2025 is when they're saying we're going to be in a real state if we don't get it digitized.
Yeah.
So we've got that project going on at the moment.
I read about that project. That's incredibly interesting. I mean, that archive, I think from what I read, is it stretching back about 150 years of archive?
Yep. The National Film and Sound Archive of Australia, and that is going back for many, many years, right through to wax cylinders. So for audio recordings and that. So it's when you look at some of these archives, they're phenomenal places of real cultural and historic interest. And if we lose that, we lose quite a bit of history, and that's the challenge that there is. So from our perspective, you know, making sure, and I come back to the comment I made about security.
Yeah,
we've got to secure the content as much as we possibly can. So that's another area. And the third area is government. So there's a very big US legislature operation that we have.
Yeah.
That's a big operation where we're recording 23 cameras throughout the hearings, throughout the chambers, and recording all the live recordings on that. So, and of course,
and I guess when you're talking about security and data integrity, you know, that's an area where that's absolutely critical. Okay, so I guess, and if I look at, say, the solutions that I know we provide as an organization in Oracle, that is paramount and forefront to what we're looking to do.
It absolutely is. You know, we've got the National Archives of Australia, which is different from the National Film and Sound Archive. The National Archive being the government agency that keeps all the government records, and clearly that has to be highly secure. So, yes, security is a big part of what we have to achieve.
Yeah. And in terms, again, I suppose the day-to-day and the ongoing relationship and partnership you have with us as a business, I suppose, do you leverage maybe the exposure you may have to some of our product management or solution delivery teams to understand what's coming down the line and coming down the track from our product stack that can enable and better enable maybe your go-to-market both now and over the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, we want to engage more with a lot more people within the organisation. We've been talking to Tom quite regularly, Rui before that. So, you know, looking at what we can achieve and seeing what is coming down the line from Oracle.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a fairly niche marketplace, if you like, fairly niche industry, where a lot of the organisations choose us for our domain expertise, domain knowledge, etc. So having to keep in front of that technology to enable our conversations with our clients requires us to work with our partners. And Oracle as a very strategic partner, clearly, having gone back the 20 odd years and the way that we have built our platform on the Oracle environment means that, yeah, we need to understand what's coming through, what you know, where you're going. I think the cloud has been a case in point. You know, looking at where you went from the OCI Classic to OCI, the different data centers really that are opening up now, and the different technologies that we can start to utilize to leverage for our clients.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. So I'm not sure if there's much more we need to cover on this, but I'll open that, put that as an open question to you. Is there areas you think we should maybe kind of discuss a little bit further at this moment, Tony?
No, I think we're good. We're good on that at the moment. I'm in conversations with Tom on some of the licensing and support things that are going on. Our team, our technology team, have been involved in a lot of support side. So there's those, they engage with that for issues around you know, problems that we get, as with any software. But I think we're fine with where we are, and I think, you know, the work that I'm doing with Tom can move things forward.
Right. Well, look, I'd love to have you speak to some of my team at some point in time, in person if we could. Yeah. But we'll have to see what happens over the next few weeks or months in terms of COVID restrictions and that. But look, I think it's been great. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time, and thanks for doing this.